Hey everybody, welcome to Horror Movie Massacre, presented by the Horror Syndicate. I got to figure out a way to say that and all that stuff. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to the page, check out thehorrorsyndicate.com. We've got all kinds of great content going up damn near daily anymore, which is fantastic. Seth has a great new article about a new Invisible Man film that you can check that out, and a werewolf independent horror film. And I did one about a film called Murder Size, a review on that. So check those out. And don't forget to subscribe to the Horror Syndicate here on YouTube. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you're here watching on Facebook, don't forget to like the page. Like the video because it helps move this around and get more people's eyes on it, because we want more people's eyes on this. Tonight we are going to be talking about the 2021 just absolute masterpiece of shit, Halloween Kills. So we're gonna get into it like we normally do. If you're new to the show, you'll figure it out. If you've been here for a while, you already know how we do this. So we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna bring my dear friend Seth T. Miller, or as he is tonight, Evil Dies 4 years from now, or 4 years from tonight.
Yes.
4 years? Why 4 years from tonight? Oh, wait, what? Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, I did like because the first two movies take place in 2018, and the last one takes place in the year it came out, 2022.
Right.
To recap, we did Halloween Ends last week, and I don't have our scores because I forgot what they are, but I do have the audience score, which was a 52%. I think our scores were in the 60s, right?
No, I think was it?
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it was.
We'll
I
find
think
out
it was.
on the 31st.
Yeah, right.
Which reminds me, anybody who is, we're counting down, we're doing all the Halloween films. Started with Halloween Ends, we're doing Halloween Kills, and then next week the 2018 Halloween, and every Wednesday until October 31st, which is actually a Tuesday, we're gonna do a ranking of all of the Halloween films, all 13 of them on Halloween. It'll be a blast. It'll be a hoot and a half. So I feel weird actually, like doing Halloween Ends last week wasn't so bad, but this is like, the same night that Halloween 2018 takes place, so it feels kind of like strange that we're talking about this one. But we will show our scores and all that stuff. Seth's gonna tell us. Can you think you could do it the way that we were doing the asshole thing? You think you could? Yeah, let's see.
An asshole.
Can you summarize Halloween Kills for us?
Uh, I wish I had some prep time.
I'm sorry, it's been a while since we've done that. And I just decided
I
to
know.
do it on the fly. But I'm
Yeah.
sure you
So
can do it.
yeah, I mean, Lori, Allison, and Karen, they fucked up, and apparently Lori is surprised that the fire department is being called to put out the fire at her house. She really thought that plan through, but they fucked up. Michael gets out, kills a bunch of people, and essentially, I think what they were trying to do was to kind of make it about the mob mentality and how it affects the other people in Haddonfield. But they get together, they get themselves a motto, and they fuck up too. And so basically, um, Michael takes out a town full of assholes, and you don't really feel bad for the assholes because they're just a bunch of assholes.
So what you're saying is Haddonfield's full of what?
An asshole. An asshole. An asshole. An asshole.
So why does it do that? Like it's always like set on loop. Why would anybody want to do that? Anyway, yeah, I mean, most people who are familiar with the Halloween series or horror probably did get a chance to see these three Halloween movies, and the middle chapter isn't as it was when it came out. You remember it was quite divisive amongst not just the community, but you and I. We almost had a falling out over this fucking movie, um, and I don't remember why. Do you remember why?
Um, yeah, basically, I came out saying, "Hey, it was okay. I actually liked it," and
Yeah,
then you were just like, "No fucking way!" And I don't know. We just kind of it went from just talking about our differences in opinion to kind of getting a little mouthy with each
heated.
other.
Yeah, yeah, and then it's funny because now it was a year later. I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. After
Yeah,
I do have problems, and we're gonna get into the end. Halloween Kills is my Halloween ends. We're gonna get into the end, the parts that bothered me, and we're gonna get into a lot of this tonight. First, as we always do, we have deep thoughts with Sean Sheridan. As he before the show, he throws up his thoughts on everything. That probably because he lives so far away, and it's like 7 hours ahead of us or 6 hours ahead of us. So we'll go through his comments real fast, and then we'll get into the our discussion. Halloween Kills gore is probably the best or some of the best of the franchise. So for that, it's decent enough to watch. I think I agree with that. There's some good kills, some good gore in this, especially that great firefighter scene that should have not been in the trailers. Would you
yeah,
agree?
yeah. Not at all.
And it has some good characters. I love Karen. I love Karen too. Or he likes Karen. I love Karen. Allison and her boyfriend. There's actually a lot about this movie that I like a lot more with every viewing too, and we'll get into that too. The flashback from '78, yes, 100%. All the rest of the cast are dog shit, though acting wise they are over the top, cartoon like to me. I wonder who he's talking about. The dialogue is garbage. Evil Dies Tonight is worse than Do Your Thing, Cuz. Oh, well, Do Your Thing, Cuz is bad, but it was only like once. Evil Dies Tonight
One
was
line, yeah, yeah.
right. It was like a drinking game too. You can make a drinking game out of Evil Dies Tonight. They are not characters to me. They are cartoons. Yeah. Example: the guy. Example: chasing a guy 10 minutes through the hospital who is clearly not Michael. Yeah, that's the funny thing. That guy's like 5'5", and people should know Michael Myers is over 6 foot tall. Um, by the way, I saw that guy at my work today. I was walking by. I was like, "Hey, is that the guy from Halloween Kills who jumped out the window? Looks good." Uh, I get that the
Oh,
chase
I mean,
was supposed to be, huh?
it couldn't actually be him.
No, no, it wasn't him. It's just a guy looked exactly like. I damn near took a picture of the guy, but I think he caught me on my phone, so I was like, nope. I was going to send it to you guys, the Horror Syndicate chat.
Yeah,
Um,
the actor died like last year, I think.
oh, did he really?
Yeah,
Oh,
last year or the year before.
now
Yeah, he was
supposedly.
he was sick when they were making Halloween Kills.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
Seemed like quite the guy. I don't know. Uh, but the way they did it was really bad. They did the same thing. Halloween 4, poor Ted Hollister was shot, and it was 100 times better. Yes, it was. Um, Last one overall, some good things, but easily the worst of the three. Wow, okay, 40%. So 2.5 out of 5 is 50%. 40% would be 2 out of 5. Just some basic math there for you, buddy. Sean, always love getting your comments. Always love seeing what you got to say and dealing with your punctuation problems. Hey, that was Ellis from Die Hard. Yes, it was. I found that image and I'm like, I'm using this whenever I can. The suicidal guy was a waste. I think so too. I think that was a waste. Halloween 4 is the best. One of the best sequels for sure. All right. So, as we like to do, Seth, let's start off with the things that. Do we do the things that work or don't work first? Or do I go back and forth? I don't remember. Suicidal, the guy they get the guy they mistake for Michael
I didn't
and
hear.
jumps up. Go ahead. I think I just
I
restarted my
have a
computer.
major glitch out there when you were
I think
talking,
it
so I
might be
didn't hear
me
you.
because my computer just restarted, so it's taken a bit to load stuff. But why don't you start with what worked for you?
What worked for me? Okay. So right off the top, the score from Carpenter and Davies, it's fucking awesome. It's my favorite
Yes, it
thing about
was.
the movie. I think it's the only thing on our rating system that I gave a 10 because I love the score. What also worked for me was probably the thing that worked for almost everybody, which is the 1978 flashback scene,
Yeah.
which I thought was just perfectly shot. You know, the cinematography was great with the way that they tried to match Carpenter's film. And, you know, I loved that, you know, that stand in for Loomis. And then, you know, I love that shot too, where it's like Michael's outside and the police are, you know, have him all at gunpoint. And then you see Loomis come from behind him as the camera kind of pulls up, mimicking the first scene from the original. Like, I just love that like shot of like Michael standing there on the lawn and Loomis in the background. I thought it was really cool.
I love that shot actually. Yeah, it's really like almost the bird's eye view, kind of pulling away, almost similar to the shot at the beginning of Halloween, John
Right.
Carpenter's immortal classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar to that shot. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, the movie starts off really strong. Now, I don't, when I do rewatch it, I don't watch the extended version because there's only one additional scene put into the movie that I thought was great and should have been kept in, but everything else was garbage. But I feel like they should have kept that additional moment with Lonnie, with young Lonnie, seeing Michael sort of like almost like at the hedge, almost kind of like Laurie and all that during the flashback. I thought that was a really cool scene. You know, and after that, you know, we get the opening credits, great score. I like the way that they had all the different pumpkins in there, and then the firefighter scene, which, as you said earlier, should have absolutely not been in the trailers whatsoever.
Yeah,
because I think that would have been a really cool way. That'd be a really cool thing to see on top of the flashback. You know, just something, you know, when you're in the theater, you're experiencing it for the first time, because the trailer pretty much showed the entire attack. There wasn't really much more to it.
No.
But then you get into some of the problems of the film. I'll keep going with what worked for me. I do like the idea, you know, where they were kind of going back to the Halloween 4 thing with like the mob mentality. I kind of like seeing that again, even though they didn't execute it properly. I like the way that I actually like this aspect of it, that, and a lot of people are not going to agree with me, but I liked the fact that Laurie Strode was sidelined in the movie.
Yeah, I did too.
Because I really liked I like the idea that because they're committed to this idea that you know, Laurie is not related to Michael, and I like the way it went back to the other legacy characters, and it tried to focus on how that night in 78 affected them as well, sort of making it not just about Laurie, but making it about everybody. They didn't execute it as great as I would have wanted them to, especially with Tommy Doyle, who I'll get into my problems. I like Anthony Michael Hall as Tommy, and they had some major missteps with his character and the choices that the character made. But I like the idea behind it. And then also, like, so the thing I'm divided with is the hospital scene. I think with that scene, again, I like the idea that it goes with the mob mentality, that they're chasing down the wrong person. But as you mentioned, mistaking the two is absolutely fucking weird. And what they should have done was have a different inmate also be on the loose that kind of maybe has a similar build or stature to
Not a guy that looked like
Michael.
the Penguin.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that would have made it a little bit more believable. But what I do like about that scene, though, is that it kind of shows the goodness in Karen. I think that was a good character moment for Karen when she was trying to protect him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that I do like. There's a lot of things I'm mixed on, and there's a lot of things I don't like. It's not like a perfect film, but I think the overall package of it, I don't mind it.
Do you want me to start it? So I just got your message.
Oh yeah,
No, it's cool. I'm here. Yeah, the crowd scene, that whole mob mentality scene. There's a lot to that, and there are parts of it that really I like. Like for instance, when Karen gets just trampled all over. Not that she's getting trampled, but and then the scene where the sheriff is just he knows he's lost control of the town, and he just kind of sits there on the steps, and he just you can see the devastation on his face. Those are the things I like about it. But I have a hard time buying that many people will go that fucking nuts over, and start trying to chase somebody to kill them, you know. But it is fictional, so I guess you got to suspend disbelief or whatever. For
yeah. Well,
me,
they took the Halloween 4 thing and they really amped it up because
well, Halloween four. I mean, they only used a bar full of drunkards as the mob,
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. I think
which made sense.
I think that would if they toned down the crowd, not
Mhm.
have like an entire city's worth of people like rocking a fucking ambulance for some
Yeah.
reason. If they really cut it down to like a small group of assholes and
It turned
assholes,
into like a riot almost. It's
yeah,
like I don't know, that was a little bit too much. But to kind of go with I think we agree. I actually like Big John and Little John, and the whole idea that they're in the Myers house. I found one thing odd about this series is the things that the people are watching on the TV. Like, what the
yeah,
fuck are they watching? You know, like
yeah.
yeah, Sam Moskowitz, yeah, Jewish. It's like what is he? What is that? Like why did we need to see that? But I guess that's a David Gordon Green thing. I don't know, but no, overall, there's a lot. I think over the last 2 years that I've enjoyed about this movie versus the things I don't like. Because the big thing for me was the pummeling Michael takes at the end, and he just gets right back up and kills a bunch of folk. That's still kind of like doesn't sit with me right. But there's little character moments in this show or in this movie that I really liked, like the character moment we talked about in our initial review on the Horror Syndicate Discourse show, when he breaks into the neighbor's house and he's just stabbing the guy with all the different knives, and he kind of like robotic. I actually like that moment. And then he
Yeah.
breaks up the light and stabs that lady in the neck, and somehow she survives to be in Halloween Ends just so her sister can complain, or mother, or whatever it was, or daughter. Um, and then the idea with Lori sidelined but still relevant. I really like that, especially with the small moments she had with Hawkins, which I really liked. I love when he calls her crazy. You so crazy. I love him. I love Hawkins. I wish there was more of him. I absolutely love the my favorite part. I think this is a consensus thing. I think everyone's favorite part of the movie was the flashback,
Oh yeah.
because for me, seeing more of the night he came home is just what I would like to see, and it was executed really well. I think they could have made a whole movie based off of that rather than this. And the firefighter scene was cool, but we saw that already. There's some good things in here, good kills, and some good character moments. I really liked Lonnie. Surprisingly, I liked
Mhm.
the guy that played Lonnie and his character moments. He kind of repeated what Ray said in the first movie about tripping balls and peyote. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff. I love the score for this one, just like all three of them. The score is great,
Yeah.
and Nate just mentioned it, but the opening logos, I love all three of them's opening logos. The inflating of the pumpkin. This one, I think it was it what would happen in this one? I can't remember.
This one had a bunch of pumpkins
That's
and
right. This was the one with a bunch of them. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's just really just a lot of cool stuff, but that mixed in with some bad stuff. The hearing "Evil Dies Tonight" way too much was kind of annoying. Even still to this day, it's annoying. But overall, I think this is a decent Halloween film. You know, it really to me is a good Halloween film overall. And it help Halloween 2018? That's always been my number one question: is will the sequel help me like the one before it better? You know, like when I saw The Force Awakens, will The Last Jedi make The Force Awakens better? Because I did like The Force Awakens. No, it did not. I hated The Last Jedi. But this, I think Halloween Kills and Halloween, I mean, yeah, Halloween and Halloween Kills would make a great, uh, double feature for a night. And they should have just ended it with Halloween Kills and not made a third one. That's my opinion. Let me go through some of these comments real fast, and we'll get into the things that don't work. Uh, where I've been ignoring it. Sorry, guys. Anybody who's watching this.
Way to go, Ray.
Yeah, I know, right? Got peanut butter on my penis. Uh, Michael's straight up not interesting of a character, so sprinkling him in and building his legend and legacy is the best way to use him at this point if you're going to actually tell a story. And this person agrees. Our dear friend Sean says, taking the fact that Halloween 2 is not canon, it's so unbelievable how upset and obsessed these people are. I kind of agree with that. Uh,
We talked about it last week when we talked about Ends, about how Laurie's whole story arc. This Laurie Strode would have made perfect sense for the Laurie that also survived part 2.
yeah, I agree. Like he did so much more carnage in 2 than 1.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's terrible that he killed what 4 people in the course of the first Halloween movie, but that's 4 people. How did it bring the town to its knees? I could see taking out the entire hospital, and
Yeah.
like, yeah.
That's a lot of people's loved ones there.
Make it a sequel to 4 and 5 too. Anthony Michael Hall is garbage. There's some things about him. We're going to get into that's the next thing we're talking about is Anthony Michael Hall because there's parts of his character I liked, especially in the bar. I was hoping. Go ahead, Seth.
I was going to say because I wanted to address this with one of Sean's comments earlier. That I don't necessarily think that the acting in this movie was so awful. It's the dialogue that they had, and I agree that I agree with him that when he said that they seemed cartoonish, and I just feel like I don't think there was any way of saying those lines without being sort of over the top and cartoonish. I blame the script more than the acting on the whole thing with the characters.
Yeah, and that can ruin somebody's ability to act. Look at the Attack of the Clones. Nate, it's okay to love ends. We know you love ends. And there is some Halloween 3. The opening title card is complete Halloween 3, and it's awesome. And by the way, that's why I wore this shirt because we get to see these 3, and my boobs look great in the Halloween Kills, which I thought was awesome. By the way, I hated the kids, but and I really didn't care for that scene either overall because like the way Michael takes all of them out and Marion, we talked about that the other day when Marion, this is for Dr. Loomis, and there's nothing. It's like how many people just kind of sighed like, oh come on, you just dispersed him. But let's talk about Tommy. I almost said Tommy Jarvis. Tommy, let's talk about Tommy Doyle. What about Tommy Doyle did you have issues with?
Well, specifically with the way that he was written. So there's good with the character. I liked the casting. I liked. I thought like that moment where he was outside with a baseball bat. I think he had a good physical presence, but he was kind of written as sort of a dope, and he never had a moment to shine. He just. And this is also the same thing with Marion with the whole "this is for Dr. Loomis" thing. These characters, they don't have any good moments to them. They're just kind of written very blandly, and they're not treated well. Like, I mean, I don't care that if you're going to kill them off, that's fine. I had no problem with that. I think killing off Tommy Doyle probably could have had more impact because of how kind of important he is in the first one. But just the way that he was written, and he went out like a chump, and I mean, we'll get into another issue too with that whole beatdown scene at the end, but
yeah, that's definitely going to be a topic.
I wish he just had like one good moment where he got maybe a swing in on sort of like a Brady from Part 4, right? Yeah,
he didn't go out
died,
like a
but
chump.
he went out fighting, and that's what I wanted from Tommy Doyle. I wanted this version of Tommy Doyle to go out fighting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they got some good licks in on Michael and everything, but yeah, I didn't like. And one thing I wish they would have done, and this is gonna. I don't see why they couldn't have reintroduced Tommy Doyle in Halloween 2018 at some point somehow. I'm sure there could be a way to do it rather than bringing him into this one. But obviously Ray and Lonnie and probably Tommy all knew each other. You know, I'm curious to know what happened to Tommy over the last 40 years. Like every time I see him pull up in his little shit beater car, like what happened? What are you doing for a living? Like, why do you drive such a shit car?
That's the thing. We don't really get to know anything about those characters at all.
And that's a problem.
It's just literally they exist to live in 1978.
Cannon fodder. So I wonder, so the one thing I was going to say I liked about Tommy in this one is I like he loves Lori so much that he's going to do whatever it takes to help her avenge her, whatever, that he's going out and getting people up together. He's trying to come up with a plan to find Michael Myers. I like that part. That's one of my things I liked about it was him going, corner to corner, like, hey, we need to stop him. We need to check all these places, do this, that, and the other. I love that aspect of this movie is not the fact that he built a mob, but the fact that he was trying to make the community aware there's somebody out there killing people and Michael Myers is back. And he's trying, I like that a lot. I also like the scene. No, I was just gonna say I also like the scene when he pulls up and Lonnie and all of them are at the park, and because it seems like Tommy's got everything and he's like got his shit together, but like he really doesn't.
That's it, and just I wanted to go back to my point too about not just that I want the character to go down swinging, but I also wanted the character to also have a good moment. Like I felt like. Maybe at the hospital, even though I really loved it would being a moment for Karen, but maybe have Tommy also maybe try to help, try to step in and say, hey, this isn't him, and like kind of like, seeing him being a good guy kind of against the monster he created, being the almost Victor Frankenstein of the situation because he was the one that went around recruiting people. And if he had that one moment where he saw how bad this thing is that he started, maybe that would have been a good character moment for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's completely written as a dope throughout the entire thing, and it's a waste of, I think, Anthony Michael Hall.
He's a fine actor. I feel like some of these legacy characters should have been reintroduced in the 2018 movie, not this movie. You know how I am about character building, and I think the writers, which were the goofy guy, I can't remember, Danny McBride, and he's just goofy. He's goofy. Not that I don't like him. I think the show, the Righteous Gemstones, is hilarious, and he's hilarious in that show. But like between him and David Gordon Green, I don't know that they can build characters very well. I mean, look at what they did with Corey. They jammed everything with him in one movie, and they did that with the legacy characters in this one because they made the last 2018 all about Lori and her family, which I get, but like you could sprinkle some of these other characters in, like I'm sure there's a way to get Tommy in there. I'm sure there's a way to get Lonnie in there, but not that we needed to see Lonnie again. I mean, everything with Lonnie I thought was fine because he was never really a major character in the first place, where Tommy Doyle, I mean, he was in the entire first movie, him and Lindsay. Not that I needed Lindsay either. Lindsay was kind of an afterthought through both movies, kills and ends. But I don't remember if I put this one up. I'm glad Blumhouse lost the rights. 2018 was a solid return to form, just like The Force Awakens. Um, Nate says, unfortunately, they introduced Tommy in this after the carnage was underway. This film has no time to build. You're right, 100%. 100%. I still really love 2018. If they had ended it there, I think I would have been happy too if that was the last one. I forgot Bob Odenkirk said, or Bob Odenkirk was in this, not since, what? I forgot Bob Odenkirk was in this, not seen it since last October. Was he?
Yeah, there was a on the TV when they show at the bar when they show like images of like from stuff from 1978. They show something with Linda and Annie, and then they show a picture of Bob, Linda's boyfriend. For some reason, they couldn't get like a photo of the original actor that played Bob, so they but they knew. I think David Gordon Green knew Bob Odenkirk,
That's kind of cool. I didn't realize
and
that.
so they used Bob Odenkirk's actual high school photo for a picture of Bob.
And he's Bob, so it's accurate, right?
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So, do you want to? Let's talk about the things that did not work. Now that we've kind of gone over a couple things, and then after that, we'll go into the final fight and Karen, who, God, I think Karen was my favorite character in these three films. Honestly, I don't know why. She was like the voice of reason, and then when it came to time for action, she got into action. She, in multiple ways. I really love Karen. I also love the actress Judy Greer quite a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of flashing back to 1978, they should have flashed back to earlier that day to build Tommy and Lonnie. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. So what did not work for you in this one, other than Tommy and his ineptability?
I mean, really, the only things that didn't work for me were the dialogue, some of the writing of the characters, and some of the editing too. For some reason, it really annoys me that scene where we're introduced to Tommy and he gives his speech at the bar. Just the way it's edited together, where it's like it shows half of Tommy's face here, half of his face here, and it's like weird, kind of like close ups and zooms as he says certain things. It's kind of cheesy. I never really cared for that style of filmmaking.
I do like a speech though.
His speech was pretty good. Yeah, and but I just didn't like the way that was edited and whatever. And then also like it really doesn't feel like there is like because it's like they got story ideas here, but there is no actual beginning, middle to end to this individual story of this continuation of the night. Like it just like feels kind of just like it's just scenes strung together than any sort of like cohesive narrative when they had good ideas to build a narrative from, including the mob mentality thing. But it just never really felt like there was anything that really came of it. It was just kind of there. But I can't really think of any other negatives. I mean, really, it's, the dialogue, some of the writing. One of the writers you didn't mention was Scott Teems.
Oh, yeah. I forget your favorite guy in the whole wide world.
Yeah. I think I dislike him less than Aaron Kruger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot.
At least Aaron Kruger had Arlington Road, which was pretty good. Yeah, so that's about it of what didn't work for me, because there's things I like and things I didn't like. But overall, I'm pretty positive on this movie, despite being mixed on some of the technical aspects of it.
Yeah, I don't think that we have too much negative to say about this one, because honestly, this is a decent Halloween film overall. I mean, we've come to expect certain things from Halloween films, and I think that's fair to expect certain things because this was the 12th of a 13 film franchise. Not all of them connect, of course, but there's still connective tissue to all these movies, no matter what, if they're not connective at all. But uh, there's a lot to this one that I think works really well. There are some decent characters. There's a few decent character moments. Character building isn't the greatest. The sheriff really bugs me. He was so sparsely used in this trilogy, and I would have liked to get to know him a lot better. We never get like I mean, think about the sheriff in 1978, John Carpenter's Immortal Classic.
It
He's
was a
awesome. We get to know him very well.
missed opportunity in Ends to not kind of have some sort of maybe do a redemption arc for him because he was such a dumbass
Mm-hmm.
about the whole thing,
Yeah.
the entire 2018 night.
Yeah.
But I feel like there could have been more with that character, especially because we do have that one moment where he's sitting on the steps and outside the
I
hospital.
love that moment.
And if they kind of expanded on that and expanded on maybe how he feels about himself for not taking it seriously earlier in the day. But again, this requires, I guess, to Nate's point earlier, it would require an actual story that's not so big and rampant. You know what I mean? Like Kills is just it's on the same night and it's bam, 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 and it's not the type of story that leaves a lot of room for character stuff, and I think that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, I think I actually agree with Nate on these are the best additions since part 4. My love for part 6 aside, I know that's a bad movie, but I love it. But yeah, I think these are because Resurrection's no good. H2O just gets worse by the year. And the Rob Zombie movies really, in my opinion, don't really matter when it comes down to it. I do like how Rob Zombie's Halloween Ends, though. Um, just kidding. Um, so let's talk about my biggest problem, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I think Halloween Kills might be my favorite of these three, actually. Now I think about it. Now remember when we get. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think I like 2018 a little bit better. I last time I watched these movies was a couple months ago, and I watched them all in a row, and I really wanted to see how I felt after Kills because I couldn't decide between Kills or 2018. I do think I like 2018 a little bit better because it is a little bit more patient and builds the story, and dialogue is not great in that either, but it's not nearly as bad as Kills. But yeah, they're close, but I think 2018 is a little bit better for me.
Well, we know Bud wants somebody to sit on his face. Amazing Grace. So we know that. I would argue there's better build up with those characters than there are in Halloween Kills. Some of the new characters. The problem is I think the ones we're complaining about mostly are the legacy characters that were already there, in the original movie. But because Jimmy obviously has the thing for Lori and is in love with her and wants to be with her, and Bud is a pervert who just wants to have sex. I mean, I don't blame him either, because the nurse that he tries to get with, she seems nice. But I get your point, Nate. So yeah, the killing or the well, I don't know what to even call it. Like when Michael Myers gets the whole lead up to that scene, I really like because you've got Lonnie goes into the house. I mean, this is great actually. I love this scene. Lonnie goes into the Myers house. You don't see him again. Then Cameron and Allison go into the house after him, and he just destroys Cameron. Michael Myers absolutely destroys Cameron, and I love that because I didn't like that character. He was a prick and treated Allison pretty poorly, who I actually like. And then that whole scene where he's got her cornered, she's just fucking do it, and then Judy Greer comes in and stabs him in the back with that pitchfork and stomps on his head, where his head also kind of gives. So I think she crushed his skull a little bit, but he still got up. Because he's Michael Myers. Now, in the old series, that makes sense to me because we always felt like Michael Myers was more supernatural, right, than he was, because he was always coming back somehow. This movie, Halloween 2018, and this movie felt like they were supposed to be more grounded in reality, like Nolan's Batman movies. And then I love that they get the mask off him and she lures him away from the house and away from Allison, and the town folks they're just waiting for him, and they beat the shit out of him even with an iron. But they're beating the living shit out of him. Like nobody could get up from that. And then she stabs him in the shoulder or whatever it is, and then as soon as she walks away, he gets right back up and just slashing throats. And some of the I think, by the way, the cinematography in this part is awful. I think it looks like shit when he's fighting back. I do not like it at all, and it bugs me that he was able to just get right back up and be as powerful as ever, and then ends up at his fucking window and kills off Judy Greer in a crime scene. It's a crime. Why can he even get up there? Why is she up there? None of that makes any sense. It's a fucking crime scene. And that window that he was in, if I'm not mistaken, is where they found those two bodies, Big John and Little John, right? So why can she be up there? And how is he getting back into the house? Probably the sewer, like in Halloween Resurrection. That's your Halloween Resurrection connection to this one. Go ahead. I know you got things to say. It just still bugs me. It doesn't bug me as much as it did the first time I saw it, because I turned it off. I was like, fuck that movie. I was like, that's stupid. I cannot believe he took that big of a beating and still got back up and was able to just slice some throats and crush people's fucking faces and shit. That bugged me so much. I mean, just like in 2018, he got his finger shot off and he kept going. It's like he must not feel pain. But I've gotten over it. It's whatever now. So you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the whole mob beatdown thing from the perspective of Michael survived it. I just really hate it from the perspective of everyone's doing one at a time. And I hated the way it was shot as well. But I do want to say something about Nate's comments here, because we don't know much about some of the characters in the other movies, but they have personality. The characters in this, especially, they're characters being presented as main characters, and their whole personality is just kind of talking about 40 years ago. And there could have been more to them. And I just don't like that the way that Tommy was written as a dope. I do agree that Corey has one of the best developed story arcs.
Because he got an entire movie.
He was just wrong for that for that particular story, I guess.
No, point of view.
Yeah, but and then as far as he says that we already know who Lindsay and Tommy are. Yeah, we know who they are. We've seen them as kids, but I personally would kind of want to get to know them a little bit more of how did that night from 78 affect them, especially Tommy Doyle, right? Because actually both of them, because 1 minute they see Annie alive and she's kind of jovial, she's talking with Laurie, and then not too long after, Tommy sees Michael carry Michael carry Annie into the house across the street. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of interested in that character stuff of how would that would be the thing with Tommy, of his psychology, of how did he process, especially as a child, holy shit, someone was just over my house and then 5 minutes later they're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and while Lonnie is very interesting, I liked Lonnie in this movie. That actor, I liked him a lot. He seems like a very genuine type of person, like somebody you could have a drink with for real. But
and I like the idea too that Lonnie and Tommy were, they became friends because like we see Lonnie bully Tommy in the original, and I like the idea because I mean sometimes I've made friends with people who been assholes to me,
yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that we also got to see that Lonnie is like it's like the circle of screaming. Lonnie was getting it from somebody else. Probably got it like Lonnie was doing it to Tommy, and yeah, I like that they were friends. And I like that there is a connection to not Alan, Ray's character from 2018. Alan, where the fuck did that come from? Oh, I saw Allison pop up. Okay, never mind. I see where. Here's a thought. At the end of 2018, with Allison holding the knife, she ends up taking over as the killer after the events of 2018. I don't think so. I don't like that's an interesting thought, but I don't know. I mean, they already tried doing that after Halloween 4, and they ended up not doing that. So, and I don't know what her motivations would be. I guess her dad died. Anyway, the way she was acting Halloween Ends made it seem like more that she would do something like that. Um, but as far as the end of the movie, I just it bugs me that they're seriously it's a fucking crime scene and they're allowed back. How'd they get back in that house? That's gonna bug me till the end of days.
it was. I mean, that is a really stupid thing. Um,
That house would have been completely guarded off,
it's
and nobody
it's
should have
an,
been in that room, especially.
yep.
And Karen shouldn't have died in that room, if anything. And Michael, I'm sure they were probably on high alert looking for that motherfucker after that anyway. Like, I don't think they, how the fuck did he get in? That whole house should have been, that makes no sense. The ending of this movie is awful, in my opinion.
I think they could have found a good way to kill Karen if they wanted to with a better screenwriter. I'm
What it
just
would have
gonna say.
been better, in my opinion, I know the reason they did it was so when Lori calls Karen, Michael, and I don't remember how the original ends because I keep watching the director's cut or whatever the cut is. But like,
I hate that cut.
I don't know. I can't tell the difference because I haven't seen the other cuts. Well, my Blu-ray, or not my Blu-ray, but my digital copy automatically goes to that version. I have to actually go in the special features to find the other one, and I honestly don't remember the difference between the two. But what I think would have been worked better is she stabs him, and then he grabs her and fucking there you go. That's how all that starts and kills her there. And then the ending would have been better if Michael was just walking down the street rather than going to that window that he needed to look out of all the time. Like just haven't seen Michael walking down an empty street of Haddonfield after killing all those people would have been a way more better ending than him and Lori hearing him breathe because there's that connection again that doesn't make any sense. Lori and Michael connection that doesn't need to be there because they have no relation. If it just was him wandering off like into the darkness of Halloween night, that would have been a better ending. And then we wouldn't have to question what happened to him after the events of Halloween Kills. Like, why did he go underground? Why was he in that fucking window? What the fuck is the deal with the window? Also, that's another thing that bothered me about. He's always staring out that window. Why? Is it because of that scene in Halloween 2, the TV scene or whatever, when he can't, when Laurie goes in to see him and he's just staring out a window? Is it from that? Do they pull it from that shit? You know, like I don't understand his obsession with Judith's window. How often? Like, I grew up with a sister. I have a son and a daughter. My daughter and my sister never let me in her room. My sister or my daughter never lets her brother in that room. I don't think Judith would ever let Michael in her fucking room. Brothers and sisters fight and stuff. She probably had that door closed. She was much older than him. There's no fucking, it makes no sense. That makes no fucking sense to me.
No, I mean, almost every day I hear, "Oh, get out of my room, sis."
There you go. There you go. But anyway,
Kids.
overall, I think I like this one the best, even though I have complaints because I still have complaints about 2018 as well. But I do think this was a good, at least the first two movies, a good return for Michael Myers. post Rob Zombie, post Resurrection, because I mean both of those series, and I'm not saying anything to be offensive towards Rob Zombie's movies, but they kind of left the franchise just kind of like out there. I mean, you have three threads to pull on after the Rob Zombie movie, because there could have been a sequel to Rob Zombie's film, his Halloween 2. There could have been a sequel to Resurrection. I think there was supposed to be like Retribution or something like that. And there could have been a sequel to 6 if they wanted to. And of course, there's the Halloween Returns movie that never got made. So I think this was a decent return to form, these two. I do think they should have just stopped after this one and not made Halloween Ends. That's my opinion. Nate's got some comments here. The bottom line here is that the trilogy is an example of why trilogies should be fleshed out. Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
To quote Linda, totally.
Obviously, they did not learn from the mistake that Lucasfilm made and how pissed off fans were by the end of the 2019 Rise of Skywalker. I mean, I would use that as a template of how not to fuck up a trilogy, you know? Yep, she was kind of, I don't think she was wasted. She was good through both movies. Kills is the weakest film because it's on the move from, I like the weakest one the best. I suck at liking movies. No, I don't care. I think he's right, actually. This one's different, you know. This one's kind of a different movie because a lot of times in the Halloween movies, they always end up in like a one location, like, you know, the hospital, the Jarvis, or the Jarvis, damn it, the Doyle house. Or I can't get Tommy Doyle and Tommy Jarvis straight for some reason. I mean, I know which franchises they belong in, and I know the difference between the two. It's just the names for some reason. Tommy this, Tommy that. It's like I used to call you Keith and Keith Seth. So,
you know, anyway. I used to. I've made that mistake while writing some fan fiction.
Did you? Yeah. I think we were talking one time, all of us, and I kept calling Tommy Jarvis, and I meant Tommy Doyle the whole time. So, first zombie flick was okay. I gotta tell you, both zombie films are getting better for me with every watch, and I do think, and I think you agree with me too, that it depends on the cut you watch, also. So, can't blame David Gordon Green for not wanting to make the boring film fans wanted Ends to be. I think David Gordon Green did exactly what Rian Johnson did and decided to make his own movie within a trilogy, which I think Rian Johnson probably could have made a really good Star Wars movie if it wasn't the middle part of a trilogy. I honestly think Halloween Ends would have been a great movie if not for being in the Halloween series. That's just an opinion I have. Rise of Rey was the best they could have done after The Last Jedi. Okay. If fans got the movie, they seem to have wanted Laurie versus Michael Myers. There's no way to make a 90-minute movie of Laurie versus Michael Myers, and that's for real. There's no way to fucking do that. They should have just wrapped it up after Kills and then made another movie. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I wanted them to kind of pay off what they set up with the first two movies. I mean, not just with Laurie, but with Hawkins as well, with the entire town.
Yeah, I think Hawkins was a hugely wasted character.
Plus, you know, like yeah, well, exactly. Like they obviously clearly killed him off in 2018, but he was kind of a fan favorite, so they brought him back, and they brought him back for nothing. That's one of my disappointments with Ends was how very little they used him.
Yes,
and they set up his story to be very important. He was directly tied to 1978,
yep. Which is baffling. The way his treatment was after seeing that 1978 scene, you know, is like, what the fuck, man? Like, why couldn't he have been there to help off Michael Myers or something? You know, like,
yeah, he should have been a bigger role.
I agree. I do like. I love him and Laurie together too. Like from the get go, from when Laurie and him are in the house hunting for Michael Myers, in 2018. I loved all of that. I thought that was awesome because you got Will Patton, who's one of the best, in my opinion, actors of this generation. He's just something about him. Plus, I love his voice. I think I have a man crush. But anyway, but him and Jamie Lee Curtis, they had this chemistry that's just there together. Like they could just look at each other, and the camera could like pan both faces, and there's some kind of chemistry that they have without even saying a fucking word. And it's just like I wanted more of that, and I wanted to see more of him, especially after what he went through in '78. And like it should have been him. The Hunt movie that we've been talking about for a Halloween sequel, it could have been Halloween Ends. Hawkins just can't rest until he finds Michael Myers. He's been missing for 4 years. Where is he? Hawkins is searching all over Haddonfield for him. That would have been awesome. Something like that. And they could have still told the same story. Exactly. My ending would have been perfect. It'd be like the Green Day song, I Walk a Lonely Road. Yeah, it would have been. But that scene where Laurie's walking, I don't think that even matters. I don't think it's only director's cut. Yeah, eventually Seth will find the original scripts, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, and do breakdowns, I'm sure. Right, Seth?
Yeah. I mean, the Kills script I don't think really changed much, but I know Ends did big time. But I wonder, I don't think if they went through with the original plan for Ends that there would be, I think it would have made sense for limited Hawkins because it would have been the same night.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things they could have done. I really like, now that I just came up with that on the fly, by the way, of Michael Myers killing that crowd, just walking off in the darkness. That probably should have been that would have been a better way to end this movie, in my opinion. What do you think, Mr. Halloween fan?
Yeah, well, I think they should have maybe done a similar to Carpenter thing where you see a bunch of different shots, different areas that Michael's
Like they
been
did at the
at.
end of Halloween Ends.
Yeah, and with like the breathing, but like, darkness with that sort of where is he type of thing. Just kind of end with that.
Yeah, have them walking down and Jamie Lee walking out of the hospital, parallel type shots, like he said, like I said, and then do the where he's been in the Myers house too, which would be kind of cool, But they did the window thing, which I don't like the window thing. Anyway, let's do some slash score action. You ready for that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. If anybody didn't know, we do a slash score every week where we have 10 categories and we rank everything from direction, the score, cinematography, editing, all this different stuff, and a score of 1 to 10, add up the score, and we get a percentage. And that's our slash score. And then we take our 2 slash scores, put them together for the overall slash score of the movie. But first, we have the fan vote 5-star rating of an 82% for Halloween Kills. What do you think, Seth? Fair or not fair?
I mean, that's not really too far off from my score, so it's fair. And actually, I think it's quite shocking because of how much bad mouthing I've seen of that movie online.
Yeah, it's like
since it came out. So
I wonder though, like, so Halloween Ends gets a 52. So, and by the way, the posters are almost the worst part of this whole trilogy. But Halloween Kill Ends gets a 52, and this was done this year. So I wonder if people like Halloween Kills more now because of Halloween Ends.
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head's at on that. Plus there's a lot more killing. The one thing I really like about Halloween Ends is when Corey dons the mask and goes on his little spree before he gets to Laurie's house. Fans would have been happier with 90 minutes of vignettes of 70s and 80s flashbacks, whether they told a story or not. Yes, you're probably right. Yeah. Again, the way that they were able to execute that 78 scene, I would have loved to see more 78 stuff for sure. I think most of us would have. Um, yeah, I mean, it's pretty high. I'm curious to see. Well, I know the scores, but when we get to them, I'm curious to see what like some of the older Halloween films get, because this is a beloved franchise, 100%. And I know Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. I try to respect you and respect John Carpenter by saying John Carpenter's Halloween, but sometimes I forget. So please don't get mad at me.
I appreciate your effort.
Yes, our Lord and Savior, right? Uh, we,
Yeah,
we're gonna go door to door and preach the good word of Carpenter. I mean, God was our Jesus, or whoever was a carpenter, right?
exactly.
Parallels. Anyway, um, but like I can't wait to reveal those scores. I know what they are. I've seen them obviously, but uh, Halloween Kills is probably in the top five, I'd say, of the ratings of all the Halloween fans. For me, it's probably seven or eight. I mean, there are 13 of these movies now, so you got to think seven or eight. That's oh wait, there's five more after that. So, but let's get into the slash score. I'll get one more comment before we get there. It's from our good friend Nathan. What's sad is, yes, Halloween Ends was a left turn uh, from what fans wanted, but it's not a bad movie. No, it's not a bad movie at all. I
I
honestly,
agree.
again, Nate, I think if it pulled Michael Myers and Laurie Strode out, I guarantee this would be an amazing horror film, and people will be like, "Oh, that was such a great movie, a good slasher, something different." And I bet you, and Seth, I want to see what you think about Halloween Ends. I didn't ask this. Like Halloween 3, will it age better over time? Because Halloween 3, people bitched about for decades. And then within the last 10 years or so, Halloween 3's gotten so much more of a cult following, and people seem to love Halloween 3 more. And I'm wondering if Halloween Ends, maybe one day people will be like, okay, that's actually a really good movie. I kind of get this now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I could see that. Because I think it does have strong points to it, and I think if someone looks at it objectively, um, especially from a writing and a character perspective,
Hmm.
they may appreciate it.
Also, it's
Uh,
beautifully shot.
yeah, it's well shot. It's got a great score. It's got some good acting.
It's a very technically great looking movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll reach like Halloween 3 type of redemption, but I could see it being sort of like maybe like Halloween 6, where there's some people who will defend it like hardcore. I mean, me and you are both huge fans of 6.
Yeah. I love Halloween 6. I'm so looking
Yeah.
forward to that episode. uh, People come around on skills quick. Maybe. Well, also think about this, Nate. There will be another Halloween sequel at some point, because I don't think they're going to reboot the movie again. And then people will get the bitch about that instead of Halloween Ends. They're like, oh, this makes Halloween Ends look like Citizen Kane, or this movie makes Halloween Ends look like Die Hard, the greatest film of all time, right?
The greatest movie ever made. But
Exactly.
like, I mean, it's weird because like any new sequel is automatically
There we go.
the worst. Booby, I'm your white
Booby.
knight.
I'm your white knight. Yeah. I don't know, man. I like this time watching Ends for me. I know we're talking about kills today, but watching it again almost a year
God damn it,
later,
Nate.
huh?
So God damn it, Nate.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. I know he wanted to be on that episode. You should have been on that episode, man.
I know,
Or this
right?
one. But yeah, watching Halloween Ends again after almost a year, I did like it better, and I did understand it a little bit more. And there are things about it I like more than I did before. Because I walked out of that movie thinking, "Fuck this movie, move over Halloween Resurrection. We have a new loser." But I've come around on that a little bit since. So, um, how Ends is the Freddy's Revenge of Halloween. Hmm.
I could see that. That's actually a good comparison.
Maybe. I've always loved Freddy's Revenge, though.
Well, me too, but there's a lot of, I mean,
There are
it
a lot of people who call Freddy's Revenge a shit movie, and
yeah,
that's totally not warranted. Freddy's Revenge, they didn't know what they were doing. You know, they just made a sequel essentially, like on the heels of the other one. I don't know. I can't remember if it was greenlit before or after the movie was the first one came out, but Yeah, I could see that. I think I could see that. Yeah, 3 has such a fun story and style. Kills as a bunch of idiots running around saying "Evil dies tonight." Okay, yes. Uh, Ends I didn't hate. Honestly, when I first saw it, I liked it more than Kills. But with time, I like Kills more. Okay. Corey is the Jesse of the series, so he's going to be forgotten and skipped over.
Well, the power of love didn't save Corey, so maybe.
Like that's true. I mean, Allison didn't kiss a crispy critter and pull I don't know, man. Like they could totally ignored Jesse in that movie after moving forward. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter now because that's the last of the trilogy or whatever. But 6 is going to be fun if you love it. I think you will ban me, Sean. I'll never ban you, my friend. Never, never. I like your insights, whether I agree with them or not. I love it. People wanted Nancy. They got some guy they didn't know with Jesse. And you know what? I guess I don't know. I can't speak on that because I saw that one first. That was the first horror movie I ever saw. I didn't know about Nancy. I loved part 2. I still love part 2. It's a banger. Anyway, let's get on to your slash score. Here's yours. You gave it a 78%. Not bad. You sent me the score. I was like, that's fair.
Yeah. The lowest score I gave was for the writing, which I gave a 5 because I think it had good ideas, just it wasn't properly executed, which I think is probably a similar problem with some of the other areas. But directing I gave a 7. Same with the editing. Again, I didn't really like the way the film was shot with like the way it was like so tight on Tommy when he was telling his story at the bar, and then the way it kind of jumped around. The 1978 scene. If I was to do that separately, that's easily a 10 for directing and cinematography because of how amazing that is. But the rest of the movie, there's some issues, but not a whole lot. So I gave those each 7s. Acting, I gave acting a 7 because, as I said before, I think the big issue is the dialogue more than the acting itself. I think we have good actors in the movie who couldn't really commit to their best work because of the material they were working with. Score, I gave a perfect 10. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. The score for this entire trilogy from Carpenter, and Davies is absolutely phenomenal, and the single best parts of this new trilogy. Absolutely fucking love them. Production design, I gave a 9 because, especially with the way they reconstructed the Myers house. I mean, with the fact that that's all a set and they built it and they were, so close in detail. It looked great. I think there was some. I think just everything about Haddonfield looked really good. So I gave that pretty high.
Yeah, I agree.
The effects, I gave a 9. I probably could have given a 10 because I think the effects are great in this movie. Just really killer stuff.
And how often do we get to see a soaking wet Michael Myers?
Yeah,
super hot.
Yeah, and
sorry.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. The kills in the movie I also gave a 9 because I think they were really good. They were really brutal. They were really graphic. They the effects complemented the kills. I think there was a couple of kills, especially the firefighter stuff, wasn't as gory as I was expecting. And I know this is a weird comment towards Halloween because Halloween has never really been like, Jason Voorhees or even Saw, with being overly graphic. But with the sort of the brutality that they were trying to emphasize with the movie. I feel like they could have shown a little bit more, but I'm not going to really knock it. And entertainment wise, I give it a 7. I think I give it a 7.5. No, that doesn't make sense because I don't have a 0.5 in my score. I might have changed it to a 7 or an 8. I don't know. I have to re-add my score, but entertainment wise, I think it's well paced. I can watch it. I don't get bored with it. It's a movie with issues on some technical aspects, but overall, I think it is one of the better ones in the series. I think it's like somewhere mid on my list.
Yeah.
Not one of my favorites, but there's things about it that I really enjoy, and I can overlook my negative opinions because I think the positive kind of outweighs. So 78% is my final score.
I think that's pretty fair. I was surprised, not surprised at your score. I was like, oh yeah, I could see that for sure. It's a Big Mac, but it's hold on. It's a Big Mac. It's bad but tasty. Yes, they are tasty. I ended up a little lower. I don't remember what my scores are offhand. They're up in my bedroom because I like to, write about Michael Myers in my bed. That's 2 sexual innuendos I did on Michael Myers in a row. But no, the kills I think and the score were the 2 highest things I know that I put because the writing in this one not great, and I don't know. The production design was also really high for me, especially for the 78. And I liked that Haddonfield's bigger in this than we've ever really seen it, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think 70 isn't bad either. It's not terrible. I always score things. Generally, I score things lower than you do, so it's to be expected. But oddly, I think it's really close to my Halloween Ends score. So, because I don't hate Halloween Ends anymore, anyway. But between the 2 of us, we get a total of 74%, which I think is pretty fair.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's no 82% like the populace gave it. That's what our followers on Facebook gave it. We ended up with a 74%, and look at those 2 handsome fellas there. And then there's me, you and Michael Myers, and me. Oh, what is going on? No. But I don't know. There's things I like about this movie. It is entertaining. This one's highly entertaining, I think. But there are issues with it, but overall, it's not that bad. It is, I'd say, a mid edition in the series. I don't think it's one of the best. I don't think it's one of the worst. So it falls right in the middle somewhere. Just so we're clear, 1, 2, and 4 are my favorite 3 Halloween movies. So those are probably going to be way higher rated. How many in the bus? Dr. Loomis, it's a fucking ambulance, Dr. Loomis, not a bus. Like, what are you talking about?
He's British.
Yeah, that's true. He's British.
Sean, is that a thing?
Yeah, is that a thing? But yeah, that's it. That's Halloween Ends for us. Next week we will be doing the 2018 film. I don't have an image up for it because I didn't. The only one I have is the score, the slash score, which is a number. I'm not going to reveal it to you guys till next week, next Wednesday, when we do our next Halloween show. But for anybody who likes the 80s, we have a new episode of the Horror Syndicate Discourse coming up this Sunday at 8 o'clock. And we are talking about 1987. Horror movies in general, some pop culture shit. We're just going to do an all-out assault on 1987. Just like, an assault on Precinct 13. Excellent film, by the way. Excellent film. And I could say that, Seth. You know why I could say that? Because you were gracious enough to buy that for me, to make me watch it. Even though it sat on my shelf for months before I watched it. And I watched it, I'm like, wow, this is a great film. So
yeah, it only took 84 years, but you finally fucking watched it.
It's true. Yeah.
Mr. Oh, I'm not interested in seeing it.
What was that?
I don't know. It was a bad impression of you.
Is that what I do?
Yeah. Drinking tea with your pinky out.
We do have assault is 70. I know that. It's not what we mean. We're doing an assault on. That's Nate says that's right. Yeah, you guys know me so well. At least I have the finger, the pinky up. At least I'm, dignified a little bit.
You're proper.
Yeah, I'm very proper. Yes, let's have some tea. Your pinky wasn't up. Try to get that pinky
Oh,
up,
I don't
son.
do that, man.
Come on. Got to be proper about it. Anyway, yeah. So we're gonna do top 10 lists of the 10 favorites from 1987 and 10 favorite horror movies from. It's gonna be fun. We had a lot of fun. We did 1984 about a month and a half ago. Had a blast doing that. So check out the Horror Syndicate Discourse on Sundays, every Sunday, 8 p.m., 9 Eastern, or if you're Sean Sheridan, 3 in the morning in England. He stays up just for us. That's why I'll never ban you, because you stay up just to see our smiling faces.
That's dedication, man.
Huh?
That's dedication.
That is dedication, and we appreciate it. Also, I just want to remind everybody that Jaws 3 exists. That's it. Seth, is there any final words on Halloween Kills?
Final words. I think it's a fine film. It's not great, not perfect, but it's watchable. It's kind of fun. I dig it, flaws and all.
Yeah, I think this is one that's going to grow on me with each viewing. Halloween Ends probably the same way. I will say one thing. I don't think I'll visit Halloween Ends very often. Just like the Rob Zombie movies, it might be once a year, maybe. Like Halloween's a franchise I visit multiple times during the year because it's just like sometimes, man, I just feel like watching some Halloween tonight. But which one? A lot of times it's Halloween 1, 2, or 4. Just like oh, I want to watch a Nightmare on Elm Street. Which one? 1 or 4, of course. So, but yeah, I like Kills for the most part. I definitely have turned my opinion around about it. It's better than Last Jedi. I want to talk about the Star Wars movies so bad, man. Anyway, so yeah, every Wednesday from here till October 24th or 25th, Halloween movies, all the entire series. So Halloween 2018 is next week. The week after that, we're going to do both Rob Zombie movies, and then we'll do Resurrection. Seth is going to monologue for 17 minutes on why it's the worst Halloween movie, and then H2O, Halloween 6, and we'll just keep going down until we hit, John Carpenter's Immortal Classic on the 25th, I think, of October, and then we'll do the ranking.
It's gonna be more than 17 minutes, buddy. It was 17 minutes. It was 17 minutes for that video because I was trying to be conscious of the time. When I was making that video, I was trying to look out for you in the editing process.
Yeah.
But if we're live, I'm gonna rant about that fucking movie.
So it's gonna be all.
Yep.
Anyway, don't forget, if you're new here, if you liked what we did, please consider subscribing to the Horror Syndicate on the YouTubes, and you probably more than likely follow us on Facebook already. So thank you. Halloween Resurrection, also known as Halloween Get Off My Lawn. Yes. I mean, he's got those tunnels to his house, so that's why he was there in Halloween Kills, right? Anyway, all right, that's it for us. We'll see you next week with Halloween 2018, Halloween Returns, whatever you want to call it, and then of course the Horror Syndicate Discourse with a whole 1987 recap. Going to be lots and lots of fun. Great year for horror, by the way. So that's all we got. Seth. I'll see you this weekend.